Well, welcome everyone. You are listening to the Human Engineering Radio Show. What the Human Engineering Radio Show about is, my name is Chris Blake. I am a nationally certified personal trainer, nutritional counselor for Dr. Joseph Fortin for spine technology and rehabilitation, and also a neural programmer. Kind of the idea that came to me for the human engineering concept was when I was deep in meditation, I had a insight, if you will, that if you look at us, meaning the human species, and how we communicate with the brain via algorithms and zeros and ones as computers do, we really are this very intricate system, essentially, that can be hacked, and we're learning more and more. And so I'm very passionate about that because I think it's awesome in a way that we can start building the quote-unquote machine in the health realm. And so kind of like my, tagline is, it's the science of integrated wellness. It is, in fact, that. I look at all types of things and get to work with all types of people. It's a lovely, lovely job that I'm very, very passionate about. Some of the individuals I work with, as I mentioned, Dr. Joseph Fortin up north, who is a DO. I also work with a Dr. Mike Sherbinski, who is a sports and performance psychologist, and as well as a Miles Nitz, who does a take charge counseling and works with individuals on kind of eating habits, things like that. So this first episode, we're really going to cover kind of some broad topics and hopefully narrow it down for future ones. This show, in fact, is going to be once a month, so we will try to build an audience, hopefully, where we can get callers to call in with issues and things that they want to learn more about. What's kind of cool, again, why I love my job, and another one, if I may mention it, I'm also an adjunct professor at Ivy Tech University, where I teach a Wellness for Life class, and it's lovely. I get to work with every single student on what we call SMART goals. So a SMART goal, when you break the acronym down as far as S.M.A.R.T, is specific, measurable, attainable, reward, and time defined. So to start off with, I'd like to kind of go and break those algorithms down a little more piece by piece and give you an example so you can kind of see what it is exactly I do in, again, kind of this context. So when we look at SMART, again, specific to start off with, so I will use for this example that, and I'm sure it's a lot of people out there anyways, I want to lose weight. Okay. Well, right off the bat, we need to get more specific, right? What do you mean you want to lose weight? How much is that? How much do you know of that is your body percent? Do you know that you shouldn't lose any more than 2 pounds a week? Otherwise, it's unhealthy. One of my main words I use is sustainability. I don't like to use diet. I don't like to use exercise, because when we go on diets, we're hacking the system the wrong way. We're doing short-term shortcuts, if you will, that get us to a goal. Let's say, and I apologize, ladies, but for those of you who have ever been married and wanted to fit into your wedding dress and lost, 10 to 15 pounds in 3 months, I'd be willing to bet you gained it all back after the honeymoon. Again, I do not mean to insult. I'm just taking broad strokes here. Because, again, that's the idea. Our body is very, very intelligent, and it knows when you're trying to cheat it. It knows when you're trying to do things not the right way. And unfortunately, it will come back with a vengeance if you're not careful. So we will look at that and many others, continuing with. So, again, specific. When we are specific, how much weight do we want to lose? Let's say for this example, again, let's just say I want to lose 15 pounds. All right, so 15 pounds. How can we measure that? 15 pounds. What does that look like? Again, as I said, we don't want to lose more than 2 pounds a week, because otherwise we're hacking the system in that kind of non-loving way, if you will. So 2 pounds to get to 15, do the math, obviously, let's say that's 7 weeks. So let's give us one more week, just in case we have one of those bad weeks, and we'll say 8 weeks to lose 15 pounds. So that's part of our measurement, right? So again, we'll start with specific, measurable. Specific, we want to lose 15 pounds. How are we going to measure it? We want to lose 2 pounds a week. It should take us about around 8 weeks to get there. All right, so now we have to go a little more specific into this measurement, meaning how are we going to lose those pounds? Are we going to get to the gym? Are we going to walk every morning with our dogs? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? Obviously, again, you will have your own ideas, your own examples, and this is where I kind of enjoy I very much enjoy doing my job. Again, I look at this no different from when engineers come in and program computer systems to run a certain function and able to get them where it needs to be. So essentially, we write these algorithms out for you together to figure out how we can get there. So again, in this example, obviously, I'm just using a broad, example. I don't know how else to say. As far as this is, again, everyone has done this before. Everyone wants to lose weight, so there's thousands of ways you can do it. I'm just using a very broad example. So, 15 pounds, 8 weeks. Well, a lot of people, when they get out, and start this, one of the first things they say is, I want to get to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. And my immediate question after that is, how many times were you at the gym last month? Again, broad strokes wise, 9 out of 10 people I talk to, the answer to how many times they've been to the gym last month is 0. So that's where the attainable comes in. So again, we've got specific, we are measuring beautifully. Now we need to get to the attainable part. Does 3 to 4 times seem attainable? Yes. But if you've been to the gym 0 times the month before, no. We are going to be building new habits, and that will be another show, if you will, for another time where we will go into it. I'll kind of give you a bit of what I do there. This is where I work with that Dr. Sherbinsky on, habit reversal training. And science essentially has isolated that, there's 3 parts to a habit. Now, what's great, again, about our brain is it's a gift and a curse, if you will. Our brain doesn't know the difference between a good habit and a bad habit. It just knows the habit, and it wants to get there as efficiently as possible. As awesome and amazing as our brain is, it wants to be as lazy as possible. And lazy is kind of a bad term. I don't mean it that way. It wants to be, as efficient as possible. When you think about it, our brain is only 2 to 2.5 pounds of our total body weight, yet it takes and consumes 20% of our total energy. So it looks to see where it can save power wherever it can. So again, habits, when you change them at first, are very difficult. That's the idea. It is conscious thought that you have to put into it, and it is very tough if you're trying to get up in the morning, if you're trying to get to the gym more, things like that, eat better, yada, yada, yada. You know the drill. It's about building those habits in place, so when those, neural pathways get built, again, something we'll go into in some other shows, it becomes, as I call it, driving to work. How many of us have driven to work, and just essentially blacked out during that time? We forgot, what roads we took. We just know we got there. That's the idea. When you build a habit over and over and over and over again, just like I do, as far as when I pack my bags the night before, I know that is my cue the next morning that I'm going to be at the gym, and I just show up there. There's no effort to put into it. It's a lovely process. So back to the habit loop. I apologize. I went on my tangent there, and you'll get to know that about me. The habit loop itself is the cue, the routine, and the reward. And again, for another show, we will go more into depth on that. But for now, with being attainable, we want to build the habit of getting to the gym. So if you tell me I want to get there 3 to 4 times a week, and then tell me that you've been there 0 times the month before, I'm going to tell you, let's aim for 2 times a week, right? Let's start there. I think that's a great, attainable, not easy, not hard. It's right in the middle. Another term I really enjoy using is the Goldilocks zone. Kind of laying out, again, all these previews of what we're going to talk about in this show. There's a psychological effect, essentially, that we call peak experiences or flow. And flow is essentially that cognitive area, if you will. A good comparison I always use is when athletes are quote-unquote in the zone. And we've all been there. You don't have to be an athlete to be in the zone. If you've ever cooked a meal where time seems to stand still, or read a book or watched a movie or any number of things essentially where you were pushed to a limit past your cognitive abilities, but not past to where your skills lie. So meaning weren't, if I was put in front of a piece of paper to figure out rocket science, I could not be in flow because my skill set does not allow that. Now, you put me in the gym where I live, breathe, sleep, all that stuff. I love it. That's my Goldilocks zone. So you want to be careful of that. Again, we want to work on something that is not too easy, but it's also not too tough. It's right in the middle there. So getting to the gym 2 times a week, I think, would be a great start. Again, this is just for the example. Hopefully we'll get some callers to come call in and work on many other things. Another SMART goal I get a lot of time is people want to drink less diet soda, and I have, many examples we can use on that, but for this one, I think a big broad concept is losing weight. So let's backtrack a little. We got specific. We want to lose 15 pounds. Measurable. We want to lose 2 pounds a week. We're going to put us at 8 weeks to attain the goal of losing 15 pounds. And to measure more specifically, we are going to get to the gym 2 times a week. Well, again, now we need to get into the specifics of what we're doing at the gym. Now, I know at first it seems like we're only on letter 3 here, and this should be a lot simpler, but again, that's the idea. We need to set these subcategories to be able to reach our goals. I'm sure most of you have heard, and if not, when someone asks, how do you eat an elephant? The answer is 1 bite at a time, and that's the idea. When you have a large task in front of you, you want to be able to break it down into bite-sized chunks, little by little, gaining momentum. Because what we're essentially trying to do here is speak to our reward center part of our brain. Just like we enjoy, alcohol and cheesecake and things like that, we really don't enjoy the cheesecake. We really don't enjoy the alcohol. What we truly enjoy are the endorphins that are released chemically into our brain and through our body that give us that sense of euphoria. As one of my favorite guys in Fort Wayne says, Dr. Rudy Cashman, we aren't addicted to, the subjects themselves. We're addicted to those chemicals, and he's 100% right. We aren't addicted to those things. Again, we're addicted to the kind of neurochemical cocktail that's released during these moments. So when we break these categories down into small bite-sized chunks, we're essentially setting those little reward center pleasures off. Now, we haven't lost the 15 pounds yet, but being able to sit down and say, I got to the gym 2 times this week, I know what I have to do to get to the gym. Every time we check off a goal, again, our reward center is lighting up, which we love to see, we love to feel. And so just starting with those little amounts, we can build into some greater things. So now that we're at the gym 2 times a week, we'll cut the example down. And again, as a certified personal trainer, so I'm able to work with people on kind of what a gym routine looks like. I will say, and I may get, every personal trainer is different, and you should use who works for you. I am not going to kick your butt, if you will, especially if you are just getting back into it. I do not agree with the kind of, excuse my language, S&M type model, if you will, where you're coming in and just getting slaughtered for 30 to an hour during your sessions, because psychologically that's not going to set you up for sustainability, and we want sustainability. We want you so excited to come into the gym that you can almost sleep the night before because you're so excited about what you get to do the task tomorrow. What barriers and plateaus are we going to break through? And again, that's the idea. People come to me and say, you know what, I do need someone. I need someone to motivate me, and I stop them dead in their tracks. No. We are motivated from day freaking 1 as children. Some of the, I always say the Fab 5, if you will, of our lifetimes. Crawling, talking, walking, riding a bike, and getting our driver's license are all incentivized. We did not need motivation to get. We wanted to do it because that's who we are as a human species. So again, I am not here to motivate you. What I do is get the barriers that are demotivating you out of your way. And of course, 99% of those are your mental kind of triggers that you are setting up for. Again, another thing I enjoy talking about is the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. In a wonderful, wonderful book by Carol Dweck, it's called Mindset, the Psychology of Success. She goes into real detail, again, about kind of the differences between the two. So for a quick example, you know me, I love athletics. I think that you'll hear me talk more and more about athletes because they are essentially the elite. They've done the things that we wish to do. They're in flow. And an athlete who wants to, let's say learn to do left-handed layups. They don't look at their failures as failures. They are learning lessons. Just like Thomas Edison said, he didn't learn how to invent the light bulb. He learned 10,000 ways not to make the light bulb, essentially. And that's what a growth mindset does. A growth mindset looks at kind of these stumbling hurdles as in fact those. They're just learning processes in the bigger picture. Where someone with a fixed mindset will look at it, see it as a failure, get down on themselves, and may not get back into it. So again, with part of my neural programming, that's exactly what I like to work on with people is talk that type of language. So we're at the gym. We have back to our S.M.A.R.T goal, S.M.A.R.T, Attainable. So now's the fun part. Now we're on to R, the reward. Now, this is a very it's skating on thin ice, if you will. I always tell people you have to be careful with how you reward yourself. Again, we want what we're doing to be intrinsically motivated, not extrinsically. So essentially, we want to be careful when we use the stick and carrot method. The stick and carrot method can actually hinder motivation. It can very much hinder creativity and getting you to the gym because you've essentially just taken one more thing and turned it into something you want more of, meaning that carrot has to get bigger and it has to come more often. So let's say, in the first 2 weeks, if you make it to the gym the 4 times you're required, you'll treat yourself to red velvet cake. Well, okay, that's fine. I'm not against it completely, but what's that going to set you up for the next 2 weeks as far as your reward? You want a reward to be more of an experience than you do an actual quote-unquote carrot, like a cake or dessert or whatever it is you want to treat yourself with. So going on vacation or going to a movie or even going out to dinner at your favorite restaurant, make it an experience rather than an actual item, if I can, as far as your rewards. Now again, you want to work what is best for you. You just need to be careful with it. So we got S.M.A.R., and then T is time defined, and of course we kind of got that at the beginning. We want to give ourselves the 2 months to practice on this. And that's exactly what it is practice. You may not lose the 15 pounds in the 8 weeks, but that doesn't mean we can't go back, look at the program, look at the algorithm, look at what happened, finding the bright spots, meaning what worked very well, what days were you able to make it, that you made 100%. Wednesdays are your days, Fridays are not your days. Again, it's the growth mindset mentality. If you make it, great, we did it. Now we're on to the next one. What SMART goal do we want to set next for ourselves? Or if we don't make it, okay, well, let's readjust. Let's figure it back out. You still got breath in your lungs and a beat in your heart, so we are going to do this again and just figure out which ways kind of to rewrite the program. So that's kind of the basic part right there of something like the SMART goal I do when I work with people on certain tasks. Again, 99% of people don't need a personal trainer. They don't need a nutritional counselor, and I apologize if I offend anyone who is in that profession, but they need a mental neural programmer. When I do my nutritional counseling job, I am actually a counselor. I can give anyone and everyone all the information they can hear and digest, pun intended, about nutrition, but what good is it if they can't apply it? And that's what we need, is the application of these processes. And I think that's where we fall short, unfortunately. And another thing, what we have talked about is where we are in our healthcare these days and how overweight and out of shape. We are number one in healthcare dollars spent in the world, number one. And we are number 37 as far as health. If that was, again, apologize for these sports references, if we were a sports team and we were number one in dollars spent and we're almost dead last in the league, we would fire everyone. We would clean house and start over, and that's what we need to do. I'm not saying we need to fire anyone or clean house by any means, but we need to figure out what is happening, because it is obviously not working what's out there. And what is trying to be sold to you are quick fixes and diets in X amount of days. I promise you, if you read I lost this amount in this amount of time, don't do it. Do not do it. You can try it. I shouldn't say it's 100% failure rate. It can be a great kickstart to get you going and get you motivated. But again, almost over 80, I think it's 83 to 87% of diets, everyone puts their weight back on. So again, there's about 13 to 15% of people, or 16% of people, that can keep it off. That is a small percentage. We need to open our eyes and be more aware, and more importantly, we need to do what works best for us. We are all individuals. We cannot do cookie cutter methods to something as great as health. I mean, again, we need to look at health as we have been given this unbelievable gift to walk this earth and do what we do. Why wouldn't we want the most efficient machine to do that? I don't care if you are, whatever your job is, whether you know it or not, when you start moving towards the path of mastery, you inspire others. And that's what I love to see in people. You don't know it, but when you do the things like get to the gym when you should, or drink your daily required water, or eat healthy at lunch while everyone else is ordering terrible, you, whether you know it or not, are subconsciously inspiring others to change. And that's where it needs to start. So that's the idea for the SMART goal. Again, I kind of hinted some other things we're going to talk about. Another thing I really want to talk about is the Tom Sawyer effect, which essentially talks about, for those of you, just in case, in the book Tom Sawyer, he is put in charge of painting a white picket fence. And he actually gets his friends to paint the fence by making it this elusive, cool thing that only select people can do. And so, again, what the kind of an example I will use, if I get to drive a Rolls Royce around, that's awesome. Man, look at me, I get to drive a Rolls Royce. But now all of a sudden, if I have to put a hat on and chauffeur you around, it's not the same. It just took play and turned it into work. Well, why is that, other than kind of how I view it? Now, I understand, yes, you're telling me where to drive, but the basic core concept is that I'm getting to drive this amazing automobile. It shouldn't matter where I'm taking it or who's telling me. It's the fact that I get to drive it. So why do we take some things that are play and turn them into work? But more importantly, how can we find some things that are work and turn them into play? And that will be a show. We will have some maybe special guests to talk more about that. But these are things, again, I want you to start digesting and thinking about, because, again, where we are with these diet fads and these exercise fads and things like that, we have, again, excuse my language, bastardized the wellness, essentially. We have taken what should be something we enjoy to do, which we've been doing since we were children, running until our legs went numb, playing tag or hide and seek or whatever you did when you were kids, and because we made it into a job, that's in fact what it is. People don't want to get off work and go to the gym because they don't want to get off work and go to another job. So that's where we need to be careful. We need to take this work that most people, and again, these big companies try to sell it to you as, and keep and make sure it is in fact play. So that's the idea of kind of the things we'll talk about. Again, some of the other shows will cover the habit loop, the cue, the routine, the reward. We'll talk about the Tom Sawyer effect. We'll talk about mindset and motivation. I got a whole laundry list of amazing things. Again, you're more than welcome to join me Monday nights at 5 o'clock in Student Living Room 128 at Ivy Tech, where my kids essentially get to, my students rather, they're not kids by any stretch of the imagination, get all this, whether they like it or not, if you will. So I enjoy, again, what I do, and I'm very happy if you are listening. Hopefully you got something out of this. And let's tune in next month where we can hopefully continue these conversations and get some callers on some questions, and hopefully I'll have some answers. So thank you for listening.